So back in early December, I guess it was, I did preseason power rankings for the LCS, where I said, here's where I expect each team to finish by the end of 2021, not by the end of spring, by the end of the entire year. So like, by the time the entire LCS is wrapped up and who's going to Worlds and stuff like that. And I ranked the 10 teams, and I also gave them a plus minus based on how much better or worse. And obviously, if they're at the far end of the scale, and I gave them a 10th, but a plus minus 2, that means I think they can improve by 2. Obviously, I don't think they can finish 12th. So I did those, and here is what they looked like when I put them together. So my 2021 preseason power rankings had Golden Guardians in 10th. I thought they could do up to 2 spots better than that. And I've color coded this a little bit on what I think I got right, and so far I've gotten wrong or kind of wrong. I had Dignitas in 9th, plus minus 2. Obviously, they've done a lot better than that so far. I had Immortals in 8th. Thought they could do. That could be as bad as 10th. Could climb up to 6th. I had CLG in 7th, but could finish anywhere from 10th to 4th. I thought there was a huge range on how good CLG could be. I'll justify my color coding on these in a second. I think FlyQuest, I thought they could be 6th, but could be 8th to 4th kind of range. EG could be anywhere from 6th to 4th. 100 Thieves, 4th. I thought if everything clicked, they could be 1st, but I also thought there was a chance that everything could kind of blow up, so I gave them a plus minus 3. TSM, TL, C9 is the top 3, and I thought TL was pretty much a lock for top 3. I thought TSM, could be the best team, might drop out. C9 first, plus minus 2. So this is what I said going in. The reasons I've given some of this color coding. So Golden Guardians, I think obviously they are the 10th place team like we expected them to be. And they haven't really shown likelihood that they're going to climb out of this spot by the end of the year. I think there is still a chance for them to improve, but we're not seeing it so far. Now, Dignitas, and the reason I've colored them yellow and not red, and I'm not saying I've got it entirely wrong, is so I'm gonna bring up, this is what I would power rank the league as right now, and again, this is based on these preseason power rankings were how I think they're going to finish by the end of summer, not how strong I thought they would be today, because in that case, then I would just compare this against the actual standings or something like that, right? But this is what I think, this is the actual rank that I think teams are at today. If I was going to do an as of today power ranking, I'd have Golden Guardians 10th, I'd have FlyQuest 9th, Immortals 8th, CLG 7th, Dignitas 6th. I think you could argue a swap on these two, to be honest. Even 100 Thieves, you might be able to bring under that a little bit. You could swap 100 Thieves EG, but I would have 100 Thieves 5th. I'd have EG 4th, TSM 3rd, TL 2nd, C9 1st. And these top 2, I'm back and forth on these ones quite a bit. When I compare these, again, I'm saying what is their trajectory up until the end of summer. When I look at Dignitas, I say they've started out really high, but like way higher than I expected. So I was way wrong relative to, I'm saying they're 9th, and they're really more like a 6th, 5th. You could even maybe argue them into 4th kind of thing. But I still think their other teams are likely to catch up and surpass them. I think CLG have a shot to end up better than Dig, partway through summer or by the end of summer. I think 100 Thieves will. I think Immortals maybe could end up better than Dignitas, but probably not. I think at this point, by the end of summer, right now, Dig to me are 6th, and I think they might drop to 7th or 8th. And if Dig dropped to 7th, that means they were within the range that I said they would be. So I don't think I'm far off. I don't think I'm far off of Dignitas's end of summer trajectory here. If they, don't fall off as much as I think, or if they continue to improve, and Faker and Soligo, to be clear, have impressed me a lot. I think those two guys are really good. I put Faker on my 3rd team top laner. Soligo, I think, was a top 5 mid laner, and those two guys are the ones who are kind of the real developmental pieces. Neo as well. I think he's got some really strong aspects to his game, so maybe Dig will end up still surprising me and being a top 5 team by the end of summer. But at this point, I think they're going to drop off a little bit. I think they'll be in kind of the 6, 7, 8 range, in which case I won't really have been far off on them. CLG is a really interesting one. The surge they had at the end of spring is going to convince some people that maybe they're like a 4-5 team. I'm not ready to go that far. I think by the end of spring, CLG teams weren't prepping as hard for them, and teams also had less footage on them to be prepped with because of the roster changes they had done, the ways they were changing up the way they were playing, things like that. I don't think CLG are going to climb into a top 4 spot. I don't think they're going to climb into 5th. I think they might end up 6th, but I think there's also a chance that they never do surpass Dig. There's a chance that Immortals or even FlyQuest with maybe Diamond kind of gets a new frame of mind that he comes in with for summer. Maybe Dreams ends up coming in and that clicks a lot better. I think they might be able to surpass CLG. So we'll see on that front. I feel like I have been wrong on FlyQuest. I had a lot higher hopes for, so obviously Licorice has had a really tough time. I still think he can bring it back. I thought his start to spring wasn't as bad as others were saying, but then it never caught back up. It never course corrected to where I thought he should have been performing at. So I do think, I thought worst they could finish was 8th. I think at this point they can definitely end up 9th. It'll be a bit of a struggle for them to finish up 8th. I think I've been a little wrong, a little bit too hopeful and optimistic on their front. But I still would like to be hopeful and optimistic and think they can climb higher. I think summer, they have a lot of time to refresh for that. So I'm hopeful that they'll still be, a top 8 team to be able to play in summer playoffs. 100 Thieves and EG, I think any kind of swap of those two is going to be within the bounds of what seemed reasonable. I think definitely started off his year quite well, but the end of spring, was more of a course correction to my expectations for him. I think, Impact and Jizuke, I had them both on my second team. I think they're both really good. I think Ignar hasn't quite shone as brightly as he would need to for this team to be really successful. And Svenskeren, I don't think he's an elite level jungler like he used to be. And I think he has a lot of issues in his game that he needs to clean up. And I think he's not like just a bad player, obviously. He's like a mid-tier LCS jungler. And I think if he cleans up some of the simple mistakes that have been showing up in his game, I think EG can take games off of any of these top 3. I think they could take series off of any of these top 3 if everything, they meme themselves about being a coin flippy kind of a team. And, I think there's a reasonable level of accuracy in that. And I think if they get the right combination of performances, they can beat any of these 3 teams. Which is why I have them above 100 Thieves, because I think a lot of things need to click very well. I think the base skill level in 100 Thieves is not as high as in EG, and 100 Thieves don't beat themselves the way that EG beat themselves. So when you're losing because the other team is better than you, which is what I think is the case for 100 Thieves a lot of the time, that's different, and that's really hard to overcome. When you're losing because you've got the skill level to compete with the other team, but you keep doing dumb things that shoot yourself in the foot, it's a lot easier to stop doing dumb things than it is to raise yourself up to the level of the other team. I don't know if that's a reasonable way to explain it, or if you guys kind of get what I'm going for there, but I think EG, that's why I put them a little bit higher here, and why I think I don't really see them climbing into a consistent top 3 spot. I think they'll probably finish 4th by the end of summer, or maybe get surpassed if 100 Thieves can make things click. But I think a 4th, 5th spot is going to be where they're going to land. In terms of Cloud9 and TL, I flip-flop on these two every time I think about it. At this point, I still think Cloud9, once they get it all together, should be able to become better than Team Liquid by the end of the year. And so I think I'm going to be on a trajectory for that. I think C9, TL, TSM is going to be kind of the right order for the end of summer. But as of their current form right now, C9 are they're still making too many little mistakes, and they're still, especially in the head-to-head matchup with TL, with the Alfari Fudge lane matchup situation that is pretty hard to overcome. Right now, I think TL, like I put it in the Run It video this week, I think TL will beat Cloud9. I don't know that I necessarily think TL are a better team than Cloud9, but I think they'll beat Cloud9. Because I think TL is less likely to beat the 8 teams below them compared to Cloud9. But I think in the head-to-head, they've got a really good stylistic matchup against Cloud9. So you can see how I'm arguing myself in circles here, and I don't even know if what I'm saying really makes sense, because I have a hard time pitting these 2 teams against each other and finding appropriate ways to express, how they match up. But that's kind of where I sit on that. So again, my preseason power rankings were how good I think these teams will be by the end of summer. My power rankings as of today, this is saying, based on the going into playoffs, the actual levels of the 10 teams. And by the end of summer, if I was going to update my projections for end of 2021, I think it would look, I might drop Dig one spot and move CLG up one. And that's probably where I'd land.